Hello, debt warriors, and welcome back to another episode of Millennial Debt Domination. I'm your host, Katie O'Shea. A debt management plan is an important tool for anyone feeling overwhelmed by credit card debt. A debt management plan, or DMP, is a structured repayment program offered through a nonprofit credit counseling agency like Navicore Solutions. It helps individuals lower their interest rates and monthly payments based on the credit accounts they have. Joining me today is current Navicore client, Jenalynn. After experiencing postpartum anxiety that kept her from working, Jenalynn turned to credit cards to make ends meet. Over time, her debt grew to a level she could no longer manage alone. In this episode, Jenalynn and I will talk about how her debt built up, the emotional toll it took on her, the shame often associated with debt, and much more. Now let's get to my interview with Jenalynn. Hi, Jenalynn. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Hi, Katie. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So to get started, tell me about your situation before you started the debt management program and how you accumulated your debt.
So I actually heard about Navicore Solutions from I had a credit card with Chase Bank, and whenever I had my son in March of 2023, I had a lot of postpartum issues, and from that, I was stacking up debt, and I wasn't able to pay off my credit card. So Chase Bank actually referred me to Navicore, saying that they were a program that would be best ideal for me so that I wasn't drowning in debt. So then from there, I called Navicore Solutions and spoke with a financial counselor and got on board with everything. And ever since then, I've been using Navicore.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had stacked up a bunch of credit card debt. Do you have any maybe student loan debt or any other kind of loan debt in addition to the credit card debt?
I don't have student loan debt, but I do have other credit cards that started building up. And I am aware, and I actually need to probably get on board with doing it, with adding more to Navicore so that it basically is like a summary of all of my credit card debt. Paid all at once, like in one chunk. But right now, I'm working on the one that I'm using from Chase, or that I was using from Chase, and trying to eliminate that credit card debt.
What financial education did you receive in the past, if any?
Financial education. I mean, after high school and after college, you think, oh, I've been sitting in these classes and I have a better idea. But then whenever reality hits you and you grow a family and you buy a home, get a car, things like that, you feel completely lost still. And those classes don't do much for you. So I would say I was amateur, intermediate into financial education. And so I really didn't know much of anything, but Navicore for sure educated me and has helped me throughout the way. And I've been using all the emails with the tidbits and the financial tools and things like that. So I've been self-taught. And then, like I said, with the help of Navicore and their tools, I've been learning more. But before that, the classes that you take are nothing compared to whenever it's real life.
Yeah, and you're definitely not alone with that. I think a lot of people, millennials especially, definitely lack some financial education. And we didn't even learn basic things like writing a check or things like that when we were in school. So it's definitely a learning curve because yeah, you made a great point. You sit in a classroom for so many years and you come out and you're like, I don't even know how to write a check.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I don't even exactly know what a credit card is. It's definitely You're definitely not alone because even I'm in the same situation.
Yeah, whenever I would go to use a credit card, I just thought, my impression whenever I first started getting credit cards was, okay, so this is money that I get to use whenever I want, and just over time I'll pay it back. But it's a lot more to it. And whenever I found out about interest, that was a real hitter.
That's a really good point to bring up. Like interest, like you don't even think about that with your credit card, even with student loans, maybe when kids are signing up, they don't
Mhm.
know what that is. But,
Yes,
definitely, I think the younger generations could gain more knowledge with some of that.
absolutely. It's your everyday life, so
It is, it is. So do you think your lack of financial education maybe led you to overcharging on your credit?
yes. Yes, unfortunately, I try my best to be the disciplined type, the one who doesn't take the risks or anything like that, but it still happens. I mean, life happens, and like I said, I wasn't working because of postpartum issues. So my once or since I wasn't working, we had my husband's income, but then for me to be able to provide anything, my source of income that really shouldn't have been considered a source was this credit card that just was racking up and up and up. Life happened, and when push came to shove, it was okay, I'm just going to use it. And now, thankfully, I have Navicore to help me.
You mentioned having, postpartum anxiety and you weren't working. Do you think these life events they led you to overcharging more on your credit card? You kind of mentioned you were relying on it.
Yes. I mean, we were relying on it for things that you shouldn't rely on a credit card for. We were using it for paying our light bill. We were using it for putting gas in our car like regularly, not just put gas in the car and then pay that part off and then go do it again. No, it was okay, we got gas, we got gas, we got gas, and we never paid it back.
Do you think that your financial problems led to more heightened postpartum anxiety?
Yes, and I was trying to tell myself no, because I was trying to tell myself, no, this is what I need to do. It's okay, it's all gonna work out. But in the back of my head, it would be nighttime, and I'd be sitting there thinking to myself, how is it that I can stop using this credit card, or how can I minimize it, or anything like that? And the anxiety just kept building up. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, finances are now an added bonus onto my anxiety. So,
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so true because a lot of time, anyone in any situation with finances adds so much financial stress, financial anxiety to somebody's life. And like you mentioned, a lot of people probably do sit up at night thinking about it and they can't turn it off. And
yep.
there's a lot of shame associated too with that kind of debt. And people don't want to reach out themselves. So they're trying to figure out, can I handle this on my own without getting help? Did you
Hmm.
find yourself thinking that? Like, was there a way maybe I could handle this on my own?
I was doing that for a little bit. And that's why I started getting up to, because it went from before I switched over the debt to Navicore, and it was with Chase still, I was at 109. $109 a month was my payment. And then the more that I kept telling myself, no, 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 I'm fine. We can take care of it. The more it kept building up because it wasn't getting taken care of. And it went from 109 to $232 to 460 something dollars. I mean, it just kept building up and up and up. And so when it got to the point where the company themselves were telling me, basically in a nice way, they were saying, you need help. So how about you call Navicore?
Yeah, so how long do you think that took you to realize that the amount of credit card debt was a problem?
I'd say about a year because, yes, the issue started after I had my son, but before I had my son, I still was using the credit card a little recklessly. So it took about a year. And I know for some people that they notice real quick and they discipline themselves and they fix it right off the bat. Other people it takes a while. So I put myself right in the middle. I'm like, okay, about a year it took for me to notice. But if I would have noticed and did something about it from the get go, 1 to 2 months into it, realizing, okay, we cannot afford to pay this, then it would have been different also. But that's all relying on financial education too.
You mentioned you heard about Navicore through Chase. Were you kind of skeptical of it? Had you ever heard of credit counseling before?
I was skeptical. Yes, I've heard of credit counseling, but at the same time, when I think of counseling, I think of like my guidance counselor at high school or the counselor in college who they tell you a bunch of stuff and then they just expect you to figure it out on your own from there. But with Navicore, the credit counseling wasn't just, okay, I'm going to read off a script and then you figure it out from there. It was, It was a guide, and it was like my personal therapy for a little bit because I was learning about what I needed to learn about. I was getting financial education 101 on super mode, and I was also being supported. So yes, I was skeptical in the beginning, but when you actually dial the number and you follow the prompts and get a hold of someone, then I mean, once you get past that part, then my skepticism just went out the door.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your first initial call with Navicore. What was that like for you?
I was stressed, but at the same time, I think my financial counselor could tell that I was stressed, and so she narrowed things down to a short, simple, but thorough explanation of what to expect and how things are going to be going while handling my debt. And everything went really smooth. I didn't end up saying, like, oh, well, can I call you back or anything like that. Like, I was able to make a decision right then and there based on everything that I learned. So I would say that it went really, really smooth. First, I didn't think it was going to, because normally with that kind of stuff, with those kinds of decisions, I'm not one to just give an instant yes or no right off the bat. I pull myself away, ponder on it, and then give a reply. But no, the same day and the same call that I was on, that I called Navicore, is the same call that I settled with my debt on. Okay, this is going to be your monthly payment. These are some tools you can use to help yourself and your family.
Felt good after your first call with Navicore? You said you kind of signed up right away.
Yes. It was a relief. It was a weight off my shoulder. One less thing to have to think about. And so whenever the following month, when I got my first email from Navicore about like the payment that went through and what other tools I can use, all that stuff. I mean, I was reading everything on that email, and it didn't freak me out. Normally when you get those kinds of emails, you're like, "Oh no, not these emails again." But no, it was beneficial and helpful. It wasn't a stress on me. It was a relief.
Yeah, that's great. Do you feel like there was any shame associated with your debt? Did you feel any of that?
Yes and no. Yes, because it was more of a personal thing where I was like, I can't believe that I got me and my family into this situation because of postpartum issues. But at the same time, with the support of Navicore and my family and my friends and everyone, whenever they're telling you you're a first time mom, you're going to have postpartum issues, you're taking care of it though, and you're using Navicore, then it was like, okay. So I felt shame more of on my personal side, not of having to use a company to resolve it.
So would you recommend Navicore to someone who is struggling with debt?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's why I referred my husband.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that? What led you to referring your husband?
Because my husband, we weren't using his credit cards as regularly as mine because mine had a higher credit limit and a lower interest rate. But at the same time, we were still using his. And from the past, he had credit card debt. I mean, I know every day there's millions of people who have credit card debt, not just because they had a baby, but just in general. So I gave him a quick I told him, I was like, when you call Navicore, they're going to tell you everything that I'm telling you in a more elaborate way, and so that you have more information about it. But I gave him like a breakdown of what it is that Navicore did. And whenever he heard, like, there's no catch, there's no, there's no tricks behind it. It's just, this is what's going to happen. It's all to help you, and it's all to teach you, and it's all there for you. So because my husband's the same way. My husband is worse than me about, I am not going to make a decision right then and there. You are not going to convince me just because you make it sound like sunshine and rainbows. But when Navicore made it where it actually is sunshine on a cloudy day, he jumped on board too. After I gave him some information about it, and then whenever he called and he talked to his financial counselor and all that stuff, he also join Navicore.
So how are you and your husband working together to ensure you don't end up in credit card debt again?
The financial tools on, like I said, like how I read the emails that are always sent to me on Navicore, and because I'm the one who doesn't want to just jump into anything, I was on every page that you can imagine on Navicore's website. So we taught ourselves. We did our research. We taught ourselves how to ensure we don't end up in credit card debt again. And if we ever have questions, we know that we can call Navicore anytime we need to. Whenever we are in a tight situation, we don't run to our credit cards first. We look at how to summarize the debts that we're in, like our monthly payments that you have to make, your light bill, your water bill, your mortgage, your car payment, your car insurance. We look at those and we know how to prioritize stuff more versus just going on a whim and saying, well, it would be nice to have this or that, and just kind of splurging and things like that. And specifically with our credit card debt, we have definitely, like, I'd say instead of 75% of the time just telling ourselves, well, we have money on the credit card, we'll use that. Now it's like 20%, 15% of the time, because we know that whenever you just start using those credit cards all the time, it builds up fast. And of course, Navicore is amazing with helping you resolve those things. But at the same time, I don't want to be using every credit card, and then every credit card ends up being another thing that we need to go tell Navicore, hey, we need help with this one. We need help with that one. We need help with this one again.
You mentioned that you were taking advantage of Navicore's resources and kind of educating yourselves about financial education. Will you pass that information on to your children so they're a little bit more financially educated?
Oh yes, absolutely. On the website, whenever I saw that there was like the My Money checkup, the financial stress test, I saw that there was that. There was, of course, talking to a certified credit counselor, participating in the workshops, all those kinds of things. Those are all things that no matter where you are or when you are in life, that you need some tools, and like a money management tool or budget planning or anything like that. Whenever I saw that all that was available, and it's for anyone, it's not, you don't have to sign up for anything. Like the website is there, so I know that I can show my kids it anytime. It's not like I have to tell my kid, oh, well, if you rack up your debt and you go ahead and call Navicore and get started with that, then you can use these tools. They can use the tools anytime.
So you had mentioned earlier that you were not working and that kind of led you to be in debt. Are you working now to help you stay out of debt?
I am working now, and because so right before my son was born in March, and in December I graduated with my bachelor's degree. So with my bachelor's degree, and then once I was able to return to work after having my son, I did get a teaching position, so I'm bringing home more income. So it was like things were lining up. I was getting after I was able to return to work after having him. I basically got a promotion. I was in teaching now, and so I was bringing home more income. Of course, whenever you think, oh, okay, I'm bringing home more income, you think it's like an instant fix, but it does take time. It's not like you're going to have everything, all your ducks in a row right away. But I was able to return to work. I was getting back on track for me and my family. I was able to be a provider again and not us live off of just my husband's income. And because of resolving the debt with Navicore and having one simple, smaller payment, the difference now is able to go towards a savings account for my son. I'm able to work on other payments for other credit cards. We're able to, I mean, we were at a point, he was about a month old, and I was stressing because formula is expensive, and I was trying my best to be able to provide for him. But when push came to shove again, I was like, okay, we need to be able to feed him. We need to get formula for him. And that was another thing that credit card was being used for, was buying cans of formula. when one can of formula is $51 and he was going through 4 cans a month, that's $200 that it's like, where are we going to get that from? So I went to the credit card again. But once I got back working, I was able to, buy all the groceries and stuff for him, buy the formula for him, get tires for my car. Everything was working back out again.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you're in a better situation now. You're even able to save, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Jenalynn, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I had a great time talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you again. It's always inspiring to hear from Navicore clients and learn how they're finding success through the debt management program. Jenalynn turned to credit cards during a difficult period in her life, using them as a financial lifeline when she felt she had no other option. But after reaching out to Navicore, she finally felt empowered and in control of her finances. Now, both she and her husband are enrolled in debt management programs, taking meaningful steps to lower long-term financial stability. Jenalynn actively uses Navicore's free educational resources and continues to build her financial knowledge. She's committed to teaching her children about money so they can build a stronger financial future. She's even reached a point where she can save while still making consistent DMP payments, a true sign of progress. And with that, we wrap up another episode of Millennial Debt Domination. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us there. I'll talk to you next time, Millennials, Gen Z, and everyone else tuning in. Bye.